Welcome back to my channel. It's a wrap, aka Yudi here, and today I'm talking about all the books that I have not finished and why. So stick around if you're interested. Okay, the last time I did this was I think in 2023, and I normally, just for context, I normally don't DNF books. Usually once I start it, I push myself to finish it. Usually maybe if I get like 20-30% in the book and I'm not feeling it, that's usually when I DNF. And usually sometimes, not all of these DNFs are I'm never coming back to it, this was a terrible book. Sometimes I just wasn't in the right space or place to read it, and I may come back to it. So some of these may be books that you really enjoy, but we're just going to talk about why I kind of left them where they were at the moment that I did, and whether or not I'll come back to them. So let's get into it. I have 11 books in total. Okay, the first book I have is Her Own Happiness by Appiah-Kubi, and this one is based actually in Maryland, so we get some Maryland rep. And it is about this character Maya. Is during COVID. I think she's in Hawaii or she's somewhere else. Her job ends up like falling apart. Her life pretty much ends up falling apart. COVID's happening, so she ends up moving back to her hometown, Maryland, and trying to get her life back together. And then she has her friend Aunt, and they reconnect. And Aunt starts to find or feel like he likes Maya more than just a friend. I always appreciate a story that's based in Maryland because, you know, I'm from Maryland, and that's the cover was beautiful. But the story was just like, it was pretty blah to me. Like, it was memorable. I kept reading it saying, if the main thing is that I'm anticipating is them getting together, Aunt and Maya's budding romance just weren't very compelling to me. Like, I wasn't invested, and I didn't really care about the outcome. So at some point I was just thought like, I'm just gonna stop reading this. This is one book that I don't think I'm gonna come back to. I had all the good pieces of something that could be great. It just kind of fell flat in the end. And then also, I forgot, but I made the note. I was all like, the character is supposed to be 31, but something about her came off just more juvenile or youthful than 31. But overall, it was a very boring plot for me, and I just ended up DNFing it. Whew, this one I have a lot to talk about. The next one, y'all, this is a controversial one, but I'm still gonna share it. I had to DNF Front Street Porter by Nina. And not saying that I would never read Nina, and not saying that the writing of this book was terrible. It's just those brothers. It was a lot. It was a lot. Okay, if I can remember, there's 4 brothers. The only 2 names that are deep in my head right now is Lake and Vant, and I think Vant is the main brother in the Front Street Porter series, but it really gives the background of how the Front Street Porter brothers came to be. So the dad passes away, and I think it's Lake, who ends up being, I think, the main character in the Honest series. He ends up becoming the brother that watches over the other brothers and takes over the business and everything, or, you know, the business. And they're only like, I think he's the oldest and he's 15 or 16. They're super young, and just not ridiculous, but the crazy things that they're able to do at that age is just a little bit of extending the realms of things that are possible in belief. Like, it was too much. I can't remember Vant's significant other or the person that he falls for in the story. I cannot remember her name, but their romance was sweet there, but also, you know, some trauma bonding. And then when I found out, so Vant's significant other's sister is who ends up being the romantic pairing with, I believe, Lake in the Honest series. And I was just like, I don't want to read another book which reads kind of like trauma bonding, even though that might not be the case. It's just, I was like, I need some new characters. I know we're supposed to get the background of all these characters in the universe, but I was like, I need a new character to come into this universe. So maybe I'll read one of these other stories, like, I don't know, is it Reckless? Which is, I think, about wreck. And then there's another one. Or maybe I'll read Lemon Pepper. I'm just going to have to read something else by Nina. I don't think I'm going to be able to get into the Honest series. The Front Street Porter series it took me through a lot. I'm sorry. It took me through a lot, but I can see why y'all enjoy it. It's not for me. I'm sorry. The next story I have is Dear Haiti, Love Elaine by Maika and Maritza Moulite. And this one is about Elaine who gets sent to Haiti after she gets in trouble for something that she does at school. And the way that the story is written, it's like different media. So it's like email and a letter and like a journal. It's just, and somehow it just didn't read well for me. And I kind of wish that it was going to be in whatever format or narrative it was going to be, and it just kind of like stayed there because I felt disconnected, and then I just ended up DNFing the book. I don't know if I'll come back to this one. It also, I mean, I'll also say while I do read YA, I don't really read YA. So, you know, there's some bias there. I'll also include that. I feel like a young adult may enjoy this. It just wasn't for me. The next book I have is, I think it's In Convent with Ezra from the Love Unaccounted series from Love Belvin. This is the first book. And first of all, let me say that I love Belvin. One of my favorite series is it Muted Love? Yeah, My Muted Love, that series. I love that series. That's, I think, my favorite. And then I think it's Wayward. Those two series from Love Belvin are like my favorite. Like ate those series up. Had a great time. But this particular one was not for me. It just wasn't. Not saying that I didn't read it. Like I think I got pretty deep into the book before I gave up. But one, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not an erotica girl. Okay, I'm not. And I didn't get the memo that this was leaning on the erotic side. Okay, at least that's what is labeled when you look, through the interwebs on like Goodreads and things like that. And it's labeled as an erotica, and I'm just. Once we get past like 3 sex scenes, I'm tapping out. That's too much. It's too much in a book for me. I don't need all that. I need the pining and the yearning that y'all keep asking for that's missing in romance. I'm a slow burn girly. So it was too much for me. Moving on to the next one. This one, actually, this is one of them that I'm probably going to come back to. I just wasn't in the mood to read it when I read it. This is a love Bred from the Block by Antoinette Sherell. And Antoinette Sherell, she writes, is it Hood Love? Is it Hood Love Stories? I might be making that up. I'm gonna put the picture right here. I'm gonna put the picture of the series right here. And I've heard nothing but good things about that series. People really love it, and I can see why, because this book for urban fiction is written very well. So this is about Zodiac and Reason, who like are childhood friends, and Zodiac came from a tumultuous, rough background. Reason, she comes from a pretty loving home and, has a pretty bright future. Zodiac from a young age knows that there ain't much things to look forward to in his life, so he's gonna have to get it where he can, and they become friends. And Reason always likes and has a crush on Zodiac. And Zodiac is like, nah, don't like me. I'm for the streets. You actually have something to look forward to. So, don't sit here running after me. I guess I get at the point where they're deciding to like, get together. But the book is supposed to jump. I don't know. At some point, obviously, they don't work out because because I hadn't gotten to the part where they get into the present of them as adults and like why it didn't work out and them coming back together. So that's why I was like, I think I might come back into the book because I might like the adult, like their time as adults versus how I felt about the developments of what happened in their childhood. But it was still, I'm not gonna lie, it was a good read. I just don't think I was in the space and place to read it, and I'll probably read something else by her as well. But yeah, this wasn't a bad read. Let me read what I wrote when I decided to DNF it, because I always write myself a little note. I literally wrote, I might return to this because I did not make it to the point when Zodiac and Reason are adults. I just wasn't feeling the back and forth of I love you, but we're just friends. So I might come back to it. The next one I have is Who's That Girl? Eve's memoir. And this one I was actually almost done with. I think I was like maybe 77 or 80% in. I was like deep in this book. And then I just came to this realization, I don't care. Not that I don't care, is that most of what Eve was telling us, we already knew, but in a very guarded way. Like she didn't reveal any deeper thoughts or emotions about the situations that we didn't get any new perspective or any personal insight to like these situations that most of us knew that she was in. I feel like if you have followed Eve from beginning to end, I don't know if you left this book with a new insight on something that you originally didn't know, you know? And it was just missing some vulnerability. It was missing that. It was missing that, you know? Just some personal thoughts and perspective about the situation now that you're completely out of it, that I feel like that you're okay to share. At this point, it's what? 2025? It's more than, we actually hitting close to, we're pushing more towards 30 years than 20 years ago. So so I feel like say it as it is. Maybe this book was still just a little bit too soon for Eve. So I had to DNF that one, because at the end I was still like, Eve, I know all this. Next one is My Choice Is You by Mel Dau. I think it's Mel Dau. Mel Dau? Either way, guys, I have the picture of the book up here. It had good bones. That's my note. Actually, let me read the note before I start going in. The story had good bones, but the writing was not it and felt rushed. Jasper was not giving me any feels. It did feel rushed. I don't even think the book is that long. And for context, My Choice Is You is about this character, Covina, who is neurodivergent. I don't know where she lays on the spectrum, but she's neurodivergent, and her dad has always had this like very heavy watchful eye on her. And I think now she's like in her mid-20s at college age. And she's all like, I'm ready to live by myself. I'm ready to have some independence. So she gets a roommate, and her roommate has this brother. I think it's a brother. Yeah, Jasper. And Jasper's feeling Covina, and you know, that's that on that. I appreciate the neurodivergent representation, but it was missing some things. It was missing some things. You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you guys this is so niche, but I'm still gonna tell this anyways. So I used to be like shout out if you were like a V2K fanfic, if you remember back in the day. But there used to be this fanfic story called The Specialist Right Next Door. And that one was this story about the main character was also neurodivergent. Of course, she doesn't know that she's neurodivergent, right? Like she just knows that sometimes she doesn't navigate the same as other people, but you know, it's seen as charming. I feel like that was a more interesting, it was like, look, the fanfic girls were writing their behinds off. Where are they at? Where are they at? Where did they go? Where are y'all at? I can't remember the name of the person that used to write this. It don't even matter. That's not the point. But the point was, what made that story so compelling was the arc of her coming into independence, right? Like, not like, oh, I'm ready to be independent. Whatever happens in her old home happens. She moves in with her sister. This thing in her life that sparks this change, that then sparks this journey into independence, that feels we get to go on this journey with her. And I don't feel like I went on a journey with Covina. It was like Covina comes to her daddy and she's all like, hey, I'm ready to be independent. And then she's with her girls. And then Jasper comes up out of nowhere and he's all like, oh, you fine. And I'm just all like, this is all happening so fast. The Specialist Right Next Door, if I'm comparing it to this fanfic, it wasn't fast. It was kind of like, okay, I'm in this new situation trying to get adjusted. Then here comes this guy. Okay, me and this guy, I don't think he understands me, but then he starts to understand me. When he starts to understand me, he starts to like me. Okay, and that feels more compelling to me. Look, I had to go find it. I had to go find that story. I wonder if it was actually good or my 12, 13-year-old mind is warped. Let me know if y'all were like fanfic readers back in the day. But specifically, like, there's a subculture. Like, there's like fanfic.com, just general. I don't know, y'all was reading Twilight, and then there's the B2K Chris Brown B5 sector of fanfic that is very, I think, niche and specific, and was a very beautiful place and had very beautiful writing. Hit me in the messages, because that was the time. Okay, moving on to the next one. The Institutionist by Colson Whitehead. I have other Colson Whiteheads, and I haven't touched it. I don't know what made me pick up The Institutionist by Colson Whitehead. I thought I was coming into a traditional mystery, but I think this is more speculative fiction more than it is mystery. Okay, so The Institutionist is about these people who fix elevators. And there's two types of people who fix elevators, and I thought I wrote it down in the notes, but I think it's like traditionalist and whatever. It's two types of people that fix the elevators. And there's this elevator that like mysteriously breaks down, and this like this whole controversy. And I think that really covers the book. But man, this is not even a short book. I don't even think it's 200 pages. It's like a very short book, but it was the densest book I've read in my life. The densest. And let me just read my note. I was expecting more mystery than tension. Okay. The detail in the writing is very industrial, and I thugged it out to the end of part 1, expecting to be left with some anticipation for part 2, but it was overall very boring. And that's it. It was like, woo, the way we were bogged down in the descriptions of the architecture and industrial is the only word I can think of. It just read gray and dreary and dark and industrial and cement and steel. And it literally read like a building. I couldn't do it no more. I had to let the book go. And the book's not long, y'all. The book is short. So I'm going to cut my losses on The Institutionist. I still have some other Colson Whitehead that I need to read. So, okay, this should be a short one. This one is Unfortunately Francine by Joan Vassar. This is a story it's based in Atlanta in 1995. And what is the main? Francine, obviously. She gets kidnapped and then she gets saved by Troy. But then Troy takes her. And then she ends up being forced into a marriage with him. And at first I was here for it. I was kind of interested, like, oh, what's gonna happen with the girl that was kidnapped but then got saved and kidnapped again and then was forced to marry this man, and she ends up liking the man, of course, you know. But it takes this weird turn because like Troy has this secret identity. He was in jail and got released, and then it turns into like this whole new genre that I'm like, what is happening? I just felt like I read 3 different books, and where we started is not where I ended, okay? Because I didn't finish it. I think I was like maybe more than halfway in before I was just all like, I feel like I'm reading another book. And I can't do this anymore. So I just let it go. There's maybe another controversial one. We'll see. I had to let go of the rewrite by Lizzie Damilola Blackburn. And I loved Yinka, Where's Your Husband? I love that one. I love that book. It's sitting on my shelf. I love that book. But girl, first, I feel like everybody has pointed out the cover. But one thing that I was like, huh? Was when she brings up that the girl, or not the girl, it's Temmie. I think it's Temmie. Is it Wale? No, it's Temmie. That Temmie in the book is plus size. And I was just all like, when? Because on the cover, this is not a plus size lady on the cover. Temmie is like a writer, and she was going out with this guy, I believe it's Wale. And he ends up breaking up with her and going on like a show kind of like Love Island, and she's kind of broken up about it, but such is life. She ends up getting a deal to write Wale's memoir, and then they like reconnect. So is this like a second chance? I guess so. And also second chance is like it's one of my tropes that I don't really care for. It's not my favorite trope, okay? Not saying that there isn't some good ones out there, it's just not my favorite. Let me read the note before I go into my rant. The note I have is, I enjoyed her debut novel so much, but this one just fell flat, which is what I'm gonna say. It fell flat. Wale and Temmie's relationship was bogged down with miscommunication, and I think there was so much insight into their dynamic that I would have loved to have a little more nuance. Honestly, the biggest thing was that the miscommunication, and we were so bogged down by the miscommunication that I feel like there was so much more that we could have got from the relationship that we didn't, and I just stopped caring. Another one where I just stopped caring, and I was just like, I'm letting this go. And she not plus size on the cover. Okay, and then this is the last one. It's Haunted Love by Sarafini. And honestly, I can't give a really good summary. Just know that it's about, I can't remember the main character's name, but she is flying from, I think, Connecticut back home to Miami because something's going on with her dad. And she meets this guy on the plane who's a cop, and I think the cop is connected to like to busting whatever her family is doing that is very much illegal. But honestly, my biggest gripe with this book was the health issue that her father has that's revealed, because it's the same health issue that my mother has, and I just didn't like how it was handled. I was just like, as someone who is living with a parent who also is diagnosed with this same illness, and just like having to navigate that and having to learn like what typically the signs and people who are diagnosed with this go through. Also, you know, it's on the spectrum, but I was just like, this is just not realistic. It just wasn't realistic for me, and I couldn't connect. Actually, it took me out because I was just like, this doesn't even feel believable. As someone who is living with a parent with the same condition, this doesn't even feel believable. Actually, currently reading Gold by Sarafini, and I'm enjoying that much more. So you all might enjoy Haunted Love. Not saying that it was poorly written. It was just that one character arc or plot that was just so unbelievable to me because I'm so closely connected to it that I couldn't do it. If you read any of these, let me know, and you know, also let me know if I should give something another shot, if I mischaracterize it, if it turns out different in the end, or if you just feel exactly the same way and you feel seen. Either way, let's continue our discussion down in the comments, and until the next time, y'all, deuces.